Hey, yo, lovely people, and welcome to another episode of the Schulering Hub podcast talking hospitality. Thank you for listening. I'm your host, Mauricio, and special thank to James Fitzgerald, who today met me in the street and told me that we're doing a good job with this podcast. So thank you, James. You have no idea how cool it was to hear from someone in the street about this. So thank you, James. Thank you for listening. And today, we are talking about hiring and leadership. So I invited a special guest to talk to us today, Brian Barden. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you, Mauricio. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I appreciate it.
That's the pleasure. Thank you very much, Brian. I've been trying to get you in the show for a very long time. So you are on my first list. So it's finally happening.
It's so funny. I was like, I have to touch base with Mauricio because I have just been nonstop since, you and I spoke last. So it's good that we got a chance to kind of connect together again.
It's amazing. You are an amazing person. You have a lot to share. And thank you very much for joining. Sure. So I will stop talking about you and let you introduce yourself because it's important that we hear about this beautiful human in front of me, Brian. Who are you?
Oh, of course. Well, my name is Brian Barden. I have been in the industry of hotels for roughly around 20 years. I am a native of just outside of Detroit, Michigan, where I started my career at the Westin in Southfield, actually, and catapulted my career from there, where I was able to really rebrand 7 hotels and open up 5 and work with many hotel groups and had gained so many mentors in my career, which gave me the ability to be who I am today as a leader. Currently lived in San Francisco for quite some time and got married within that time. And my husband and I relocated back to Atlanta, Georgia, where I lived before within my career. And we're now building our family and it's growing. And we're in a good spot right now. And then also just decided to still continue to be in the industry of hotels and decided to go on the recruiting side to see what it is that I can do to kind of help those that are interested in being in the market and those that are still there. What can we do to kind of help refresh and stay current, relevant, and stay on top of it?
That's awesome. From side to side in America and coming just through. So cool. Like when I met you, you were actually a hotel manager at the time. And I remember our first conversation, you spoke about exercise that you used to do, fun exercise to keep that team engaged and have a great time. Can you just refresh my memory about any of the games that you used to play there?
Oh, absolutely. A prime example, I worked for Kimpton at the one iconic hotel in San Francisco called Sir Francis Drake. And, those that worked in a New York market, maybe Chicago, but San Francisco for sure, it's heavy in union. And, you have a lot of union employees within each department. And, one thing that when I came onto this property, I wanted to focus on where to see where the empowerment lies with the employees. And of course, a lot of times the employees will say, oh, that's not my job, but that's fine, but we can kind of do a workaround because again, I asked them, well, what do you want to be when I grow up? Well, I want to be a manager. Well, how are you able to empower yourself to be that manager? So anywho, I had a team of employees that worked with me from different departments. And I said, let's create the soccer ball approach of empowerment. And they were like, what are you talking about, Brian? You are super crazy because they always see I'm always animated with something. I'm always creating some type of ideas. But what I did was I took the soccer ball and the white octagons that are on the soccer ball, I go through our TripAdvisor scores, our service scores, just anything that is more of a negative impact on the property. And I place each one of those situations on the octagon of the soccer ball. And then we'll do the role play exercise because a lot of times the employees are very nervous to do the role play in front of a group of people. But how about use the soccer ball? So when you throw the soccer ball at someone, and it lands in their hands, wherever that right thumb lands on is the imperfection of a service recovery or something that is a disruption to a guest experience. And then we'll get to choose and say who's the guest and who's the employee. And then we'll role play. And then from there, we are in a team of audience. We'll say, okay, well, what could this person could have done differently? And we actually bounce the ball back and forth. And I did it every day until my scores actually increased. My empowerment scores have increased. And not only that, my back of house team, such as my engineering and housekeeping team, they actually were good at that as well, to the point when they go into rooms and they encounter a guest and they come across a service recovery, they already had in their head what that soccer ball approach was, and they utilized it very well. And working in San Francisco, you have many diverse cultures that are there. And so I had to do, 6 or 7 different types of soccer balls and 7 different types of languages, just so they can understand and be comfortable about it. And so it was a very successful approach, and that was the best practice that I usually bring to a lot of my properties there.
Wow. Like now, listener, you know why I wanted so long to bring Brian to the show, because it's just amazing. 7 languages, getting to everyone, really reaching them to the human level, and role play with the whole team, every single side of it. So everyone is prepared, respect to their times, respect to their positions. Amazing example of leadership here, Brian. Thank you for sharing this. Thank you.
Of course.
And talk a little bit now about Carver and how you are helping the hotelier today.
Oh, absolutely. I've just started pairing up with Carver, and I'm a task force recruiter here at Carver. And, for those that don't know what task force is, it's basically, it is a company, and it's, a really nice, it's a leading company here where we work closely with our hotel groups and our clients, such as, franchise companies and managed properties such as Hilton and Hyatt. And we are here to help put out fires for those clients, where they are in need of a GM, where they're in need of someone from catering or sales, or just down to a simple front desk agent. And so what I've done here was I wanted to focus in recruiting because I wanted everybody to put their best foot forward. And, my purpose in life has always been to bring the best out in people. And usually what I'll do is when I'm recruiting someone and I look at their resume and I ask them to build their profile, I always tell them, and I just recently did a video on our Carver page where, the whole less is more concept does not exist in the industry of hotels. The more information, the better. Because a lot of times our clients, they are looking for someone that is very specific. If it's focused on culture, if it's focused on financial, even if it's just focused on someone coming in here being the role model that they need to be to help bring the team to the next level of expected. Because I think COVID really have reset a lot of minds with people, especially when it comes to building loyalty. Here's the deal. A lot of people weren't really focused on loyalty to a lot of the companies because a lot of times the employees think that, companies aren't loyal to the employees, but at the end of the day, I'm here to change that, and that's what I want to do in long term. So I focus on that. I really help groom a lot of the GMs that are here, and really help understand what they're looking for their next step, and figure out what their best practices are, and help create their profile to be attractive for the next client.
So you help the hotel to be attractive, or as the employee to improve the employee level, right?
So the employee to be attractive as well, for them to bring their experience, because a lot of the GMs or any senior leaders, just simple front desk agents, they have so much to offer. My job is to make sure that it's not only enhanced, but it's in front of the client, so the client can say, this is someone I'm willing to work with. This is someone that I actually want to bring to my team. But the thing is this, I look at it as a long term, where if you're really good at what you do with this client, these clients have many other properties. And my goal is to make sure that your name is dropped in the bucket to say, John Doe has done a great job at this property in New York. And I think he'll do a good job here in Los Angeles, just because of the things that we're looking for. And that is what I like to focus on.
So if I would ask you what you want to be when you grow up, as you just used as an example, and you would say to bring the best of people, right? And then you connect with the loyalty for the person have loyalty with the brand as a goal that you want to have for a career. What is that? How do you want to achieve that?
What do I want to be when I grow up, basically?
Yes.
Oh gosh, you know what? It will always change. And it's so funny because I focus a lot in design and I focus a lot in guest experiences, right? And it's still the same. So Airbnbs, for example, I manage properties that for people that have Airbnbs, and I go and I create each of those properties such as experiences. meaning what's in their area, what's local, what is it that the guests are looking for. I basically create their home into a way where it's like a hotel. And then long term, when I want to do multiple properties that I'm Airbnb and managing it, I like to brand them, where you have the same product of your linen, your terry, your pots, your pans, everything is what I consider to be a brand for me. And then I'm able to bring that exposure into of hotels that I've had, into Airbnbs. And that's something I want to do down the line for sure. That's something personal for me.
That's awesome. And when we come to hiring, what are the challenges out there that both candidates and hoteliers are facing right now?
I will probably say when it comes to candidates, of course, a lot of times it is money. Work-life balance, rarely exists in hotels, to be very candid with you, Mauricio. I mean, it's a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week industry. And a lot of times, people that are new in the industry of hotels, they think that, the more you move up in hotels, at 5 o'clock, banker's hours, you're able to get up and leave. But I think a lot of times, these candidates that are coming through our pipeline, they really and truly think that they'll be a GM or a regional vice president in 2 weeks, and it doesn't work like that. So a lot of times with the candidates that are coming through the door, you have to be transparent to say, hey, okay, where do you see yourself in the next 3 years? And then where you see yourself in the next 5, 7, and then 10. And that's where you're able to kind of gauge your way through what they're looking for, especially the employee part. I think, and that's the struggle, because a lot of these candidates don't really believe in patience. They don't believe in, because I come from a very old school approach. So you want to make sure that you learn as much as you can, because when you're holding someone accountable, if you are moving up in the industry, you have to also know the work as well. I do say on the hotel side, or people from the corporate side, I think they really need to understand and listen to their employees. I think they also need to not get in a dire need of promoting someone into a role that they are simply may not be ready to get into that role right now. And so a lot of times when they leave that role, if they're potentially failing at that property and they go into another role at another company, and that company comes in and they see, that person's been capable of doing it, it kind of shoots them in the foot, but it also really shoots that candidate in the foot, because you really don't have that experience. So I hope that answers your question, because it's a struggle on both parts with that.
So basically, if I can try to digest that, in the hotel level, would it be better to sometimes look for candidates with stronger skills for a specific role, with the competences that they need to have already there, and maybe use that person as a leadership model for someone to groom them and then grow to the position where one day they may be ready to be. Would that be understood well?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that a lot of these companies today, they need to really focus on that type of training program. I think they need to, these regional vice presidents, they need to take a second and pause. And they need to sit with their GMs or their area directors of sales and acknowledge where their areas of experiences are. And there's some opportunities that they need to really work on. Don't just hold them accountable, and hold them to the fire and just get them out of the door. Take the time to really and truly understand them and see what they can do. Because if they leave, then you're going to start the whole process all over again, the whole hiring process. Then that's when you have to reach out to us at Carver and say, hey, while I'm looking for someone, can you have someone come in here to kind of help put out this fire? Well, you could have prevented that fire if you could have, as an RVP or someone from the corporate level, to come in and invest that time into those leaders.
Amazing. And if I may understand that maybe the hotelier that is struggling with that process, maybe they just don't know what to do, right? Do you guys help the hoteliers and the candidates to educate themselves to become better? Do you guys coach them? Do you guys provide workshops, courses?
We don't provide workshop or courses, and we don't, give the recommendation as far as how they should hire and this is speaking directly to the client, which is the hotel group. As far as, this is, what you need to focus on, or you need to hire someone that is focused on this, We don't do that because at the end of the day, that's their business model. But when it comes to our candidates that come through our pipeline, especially for me, and I look at their resume and I speak with them, and I don't speak with them over the phone because I do a lot of Zoom calls with them because I want to see what your personality does it match it on paper. And a lot of times that is where I then walk them through of how they should speak, how they should write on their resume, or how they should speak upon some of the questions that are asked to really represent them. And again, it goes back to me, bringing the best out in people, because I have had many mentors in my life: Orlando Carrasquillo, David Von Wakeler, Antonio Flores, Daniel Fine. These are individuals that have challenged me to bring the best out in individuals, and I like to do the same because here I am today.
Yes, you had great mentors because you're behind someone amazing. And if you could share something like a very good tip, like an expert tip, like what would you say?
Never be afraid to say what you know. Never be afraid to say what you don't know, and never be embarrassed to not know what you don't know. Learn it, and I always tell people this is why pencils were invented with erasers, because we all make mistakes. So at the end of the day, just know what you know, learn it, move on with it, and just ask those questions. I think some people are not ready to ask those questions because some people may think of their integrity is now being questioned, their experience is being questioned. All the time I'd say, look, I have no idea what you're talking about, but you know what, walk me through what this is and maybe I can get it. I have no problems in doing it. And I think people will respect you more with that too.
Lifelong learning at its best, right? Growth mindset, avoid the fixed mindset, keep growing, be honest with yourself. Thank you. Thank you for saying that. Thank you for saying that. If I say, nobody believes, so thank you.
No, absolutely.
And Brian, let's jump a little bit into dreaming the future. All right? Like, it's something that I like to play, a game that I like to play. Mm-hmm. If you could foresee the future of hospitality, you can even just wish, right? Just a game. We play this game because every time we speak to someone, there is something new that we didn't see. Wow, that's coming from. And maybe that sparkles ideas in minds of other people there. And maybe someone will have this amazing idea that will change the world just because they heard that. So let's wish. How hospitality would look like?
How hospitality will look like in the future, I will be honest with you, I think it's going to be such a struggle. I think, here, I can't speak on behalf of the world, but I think with the world coming to, 2 wars with Ukraine and then what's going on in Israel, Gaza, plus the presidential, election that's coming up soon, a lot of people are really uncertain and they don't know where to go. I mean, I think there's some hotel groups that are scared to possibly build new hotels, build a different market. I think that we are going to go in an upswing within the next 3 years, I would say, or at least a year after, maybe here in the United States, a new president has been chosen, just so we can see where our economy will be. But I think what's going to change and what's going to be a struggle will be customer service, to be honest with you, Mauricio. And I say that to say because, personalization of an arrival experience with the guest in the hotel isn't what it used to be. It's very transactional right now. And I think a lot of the companies need to now start to read the type of guests that come through our doors. Some are very transactional. Look, just tell me where my room is and I can go from point A to B. I think a lot of times, some of these hotel groups, they want you to go through this long, strenuous arrival process. But by that time, we're not really respecting the guest time because time is money. We want them in and out and have them enjoy their stay at the hotel. But when you're wasting 10 minutes of their time, they're like, I have no idea why I did that. Just point me in the direction. I think we need to kind of learn it to kind of sum it up where we should modernize our customer service with this generation of talent that is coming through the doors to stay with us, but also educate the talent that we have in our hotels to communicate that, if that makes sense.
No, it makes total sense. And now that you said about customer service, I normally don't have a follow-up question, but I do right now.
Yeah.
Because when it comes to struggle with customer service, something that pops to mind is a generational change of how people behave as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Do you see that change, like the new candidates coming with a less awareness of what customer service should be like?
Yeah, because, the candidates that we do get through the doors, I mean, even when I was on a property level, the candidates that we did receive, they didn't know what hotels were about. I'm going to bring this up back in my past, when Starwood Hotels and Resorts were around, your Westin, Sheratons, and W's. They had this, the Starwood Service Culture Training program, where I was a service culture trainer with many of the Starwood brands that I worked for. And what I really admired about it, and that is what I love so much when I bring to the table at any hotel, is giving them the purpose of why they're here. It's kind of customer service 101. Talk about the brand. You want to kind of engage with your team members to let them know why they are here, not just this is your employee number, your time card, your login, and so forth. No, you got to walk them through, like, you need to be proud to why you're here. And here's why. Let's talk a little bit more about the brand. Here's the story. Those are the things that I think a lot of the talent that we do get through these doors that are working these positions, they just don't know about what true customer service is and what Hilton was about, why Marriott was originated with this. It's just so many things. If you bring a little bit of that fun history into that industry, I think it may be able to engage some of our employees and even our younger generation as well.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you, Brian. I'm so happy with that. Brian, how can people connect with you and continue this conversation?
You can always connect with me through LinkedIn as well. And I'm with the Cloud companies. So, you can always reach out with me, through that. But LinkedIn has always been, my point of contact. And I do, quite a few social media posts as well through my LinkedIn that Carver backs up behind me. And I get a lot of people that reach out to me and say, hey, can I get a tidbit from you? Or can I just get some type of motivational sentence? Just to kind of help me walk through, my day. I'm always here for that because I love good talks. I love conversations. And what my team members call me, they said I'm considered a vibe. So I'm like, okay, fine. So always connect with me like that. I'm easy to connect and easy to answer questions with too. So.
Awesome, Brian. I'll put your links there. It was
for sure.
A massive pleasure. Thank you very much for lending your time, sharing your knowledge, sharing your stories. Sure. Beautiful. Thank you very much for chatting with me today.
Of course, no problem. Thank you so much for the opportunity. It really is an honor.
Thank you, Brian. Have a nice day. Schulering, thank you for listening. Bye.
Bye.